I received a package in the mail today. Let's see what's in it. Okay. Didn't open up as easily as I'd hoped. No. Well, what do we have here? Tales from the Yawning Portal. Okay, so let's go take a look at this. Welcome to my channel. I focus on tabletop role-playing games, video games, and science fiction. This is the book, Tales from the Yawning Portal. So, this came in the mail. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. How much does this little beastie cost? So the list price is $45.95. That's from the Wizards of the Coast website. I ordered mine through Amazon, and it's currently available on Amazon for $29.97. I ordered it from Amazon. I pre-ordered, and I got mine for $25.14. And I'm expecting the price will probably drop on Amazon. So I got a little ding here on this from probably the shipping. Let's do a couple of quick items about the typography. And my pet peeve, if you ever heard me talk about any of the 5th edition books, is the page number. And the page number, the reason I have a pet peeve for it is it's gray on gray. And I really wish that the page number was darker. Just a minor little wish that the page number was darker, because it's hard to see. If you don't have bright lights on, to me, there's not enough contrast on the page number. And that's just, it's a minor thing. Why they made it gray on gray, I don't know. It appears to be lighter than the body text of the page, but I'd have to really get in and check. But that's sort of an irritant. Now let's talk about, I'm not going to go through the whole book because there's way too much to take in the short time I've had this. You have a nice table of contents which lists most of the points of interest, at least as far as that. And then it goes into creating a campaign and so on, but then it talks about the Yawning Portal, which is the name of an inn or tavern or something like what you would call it. It's a tavern, renowned tavern in D&D lore. And so they talk about it, but here's my complaint. I'll talk about the two complaints. They describe a fascinating place that is the Yawning Portal. And they give a little bit of the detail about the owner of the Yawning Portal. But there's no map. And this is the setup of this. It's a way to start these adventures is through the Yawning Portal, in theory. That's how one way to introduce the campaign. And they create an interesting mood and atmosphere in the writing, and I like that. That's really well. Well, but why didn't they put a map of the Yawning Portal into at least the first two layers or three stories of the tavern? That would have been a nice addition to this, and it also would have been nice to have them describe some of the other characters besides the owner. To describe, to give a little bit about the barmaids, the other players that are the people who are normal people who come to the bar. For those of you who are old enough to remember the television series Cheers. Yes, you had the bartender and the barmaids who were there, but what really made Cheers that you knew was Cheers was Norm, who was the guy who came in and he was always in the bar, and that was the rock that founded the bar. And the problem I have with the Yawning Portal is that you don't have anyone like Norm described. Now you could add that, but I would have thought that they would have put that in there. So they describe in great detail parts of the Yawning Portal, why it's called the Yawning Portal, a little bit of its history, where it came from, the owner of the place. But you know, it's like, if you ever watched the movie Casablanca, you had Rick's, which was there, but it really wasn't Rick. It was, and I can't remember the name of the piano player, but you had these other characters who made up the real environment of the bar, the thing that made it memorable in the movie Casablanca. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. And you see the characters, the little minor characters, and each of them has a personality, and that they add to the story of Casablanca. And I thought that would have been a nice addition to this book. So they talk about it. Now then, let's talk about a couple of other things. Like I said, I'm just thumbing through. I'm not going to go in detail about the adventures, at least not today. So the other thing is I turn to the back, and I go, okay, we've got an Appendix A and Appendix B. And so you've got a nice table of contents, but you don't have an index, which is sort of depressing, because they list, you list where all the maps are. You list Appendix A, which are the magic items, and Appendix B, which are the creatures. But it would be nice to know where in the book these creatures occur. Just simply because it's like the choker is a small aberration, chaotic evil, gives you your standard class, but we know that they're in this book because they occur in one of these adventures. So it'd be nice to have some way to see what creature, where it linked back to what adventure, and that's missing. Same thing with the magic items. You don't know. You have the magic items, which are fine as a reference book there. I just wanted an index that would have come through. Now, for those of you who have never done typography and worked in that, I have worked in that for 15 years. So I know that creating an index is a lot of work, actually. It depends upon the software you're using and how it's done, but it can be very complex and very tedious to do the indexing. Tiny war story. Many years ago, I was challenged with automating a system to produce a book, and we produced the book. When we went in there, with great trepidation, we were going into this meeting, and I know I was going into this woman to meet this woman. She hired 30 temporary workers every year to work for 6 months producing the index to this book. Well, this is quite a few years ago. We had automated that process. All that indexing was done by hand. We'd went through all these inconsistencies that were, just happen when you do everything by hand. And we'd created the thing so we could complete the book and create the index in 4.5 minutes. And we were going, oh man, this woman. And so she comes in, and we're worried that we're telling her we're going to, you're getting rid of all this responsibility. And they said she was dancing and skipping down the aisles because she just viewed this as something she'd had to manage that was a nightmare to do every year. And now it was fully automated that she didn't have to deal with it anymore. And she was very happy. Unfortunately, let's be honest, we put 30 people out of work by doing it, but we improved the accuracy and so on. But creating an index is a complex thing, and I understand why they probably didn't do it, because it's hard. But don't get me wrong, but I think it would have been an invaluable addition to add to this, to know where these creatures and where these magic items would have occurred in the book. so that you could reference them, so you could see how they actually use them in an adventure, rather than just it's like the Monster Manual or Volo's Guide. You pull up and you see the creature, but you don't have any context of how somebody's actually used that. And that would have been a true advantage to have for this Tales of the Yawning Portal, that you could have used this to see how they use these creatures, where they put them, not and more than just the description of the creature, which is there. So that's a little disappointing. I would have liked to have seen that. For the cost of the book, for $25, I understand why maybe they didn't spend the effort. And it is hard, don't get me wrong. I know how hard it is to create a good index for things like that, and to do permuted index. And there are tools that can do that for you and set that up, but they didn't do that. And they're really visually oriented and not, shall we say, contextually oriented, or knowing how to make something that is extremely useful. That's why we don't see the PDFs from this thing, because I would like to see PDFs of all the books. That's the standard complaint that most people have, and that's where D&D Beyond is where they're trying to move to, but I don't know how well that will be. So we'll see what happens with this. I'm going to do some more. I'm going to probably review each of the adventures as I read through them, but I wanted to get something out about my first impressions. It's, for its price of $25, yeah, it's not bad. It's not a bad book for $25. It's not worth the $45 list price, which is a bit high. I think that they were there, but you can easily find it much less than that. They still have, I still have some issues with typography, and they didn't create an index, which I thought would have been highly desirable for this particular kind of book. So tell me what you think of this comment, of my review of superficial first impressions of this book. It's not an in-depth review, it's just the impressions that I get from reading the introduction and looking through the organization of the book. Do you have a copy of this? What is your opinion of this? Do you think this is well worth the $45.95 list price? What did you pay for your copy? Did you get it cheaper than I did? Did you find it some other place? I know there are people who've got pre-copies. I just ordered through Amazon and got it. Today is the release date, so that's when I got it, and I got a chance to look at it and scan it. So thank you for watching my video. I look forward to learning what you think about this video. Let me know in the comments below. I appreciate all your comments. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like the video, give me a thumbs down. I appreciate both forms of feedback. If you're new here and would like to subscribe, you can click on the icon on the left. If you're interested, there's more content on the right.